Let's see what the Samurai can do now versus the dark horse known as Liquid. They pick themselves up Steel, Stanislaw in the sidelines now as their roster change so far has yielded some fruit. Elige looking freer than ever. I'm joined by two players and now we're going to be talking all about this big one. We have, of course, Nothing and we have YNK. I guess first things first, actually, Jordan, because you know, I talk to Yanko an awful lot about these teams over in the Pro League and stuff, and I don't know your read or understanding of that of G2. I think, you know, it'd be interesting to hear your take on what this French roster slash, in massive air quotes, super team is capable of.
Yeah, I have, because we only played them at the big event, so every time I'm focused on competing against them, it's very, like, polarizing. Like, we're not going to play these maps, we are. With G2, we normally just think of a team that kind of forces their style every time we play. So if we think of G2 on Cash, we know they're trying to take fast mid-control, get mid-control fast, split A. We kind of know where they're coming from. So on every map, G2 to me is one of those teams who will not waver. So you would think they're easy to counter, but then you run into, obviously, the bodies, the Shoxes. And so to us, it's always been kind of a straightforward thing with G2. Just look at what they're doing, and they're going to keep doing it. Okay, right. So they're just going to kind of demand a certain style of play. Yeah. I mean, I imagine that that's their counter then, Yanko, in that discussion, because that's very similar to how you've framed them before. Is the counter is to just break their style of play, right? I mean, don't get them. A lot of times we found in one eloquent way of putting it that just do on their CT side to them what they would do if they were T. So play like G2. Just literally, their own style seems to work against them a lot. If you get in their face and play quick against their CT, a lot of times it shakes them. Interesting. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think it's because, you know, they're dependent a lot on Kenny, and if you have that explosive, a bit execute-heavy style, and you put a lot of pressure on him, don't allow him to, you know, go for a pick if you're in a default, get one kill, and then fall back. That's probably the way to go. But for G2, I agree with Jordan that, you know, they want to run their style. The problem for G2 is if that initial style doesn't work, they don't have that much to fall back on. Now, I have to give them props from what we've seen in this tournament, especially in their loss on Overpass. They actually did try to play with a bit more structure on that T side. They had a couple of executes, you know, they would get a kill, and then they would go into an execute, not risking to give that advantage back. They played really, really well on that CT side against FaZe. You know, the fact that they lost both pistols probably cost them the game, because otherwise they played a very, very strong game. So for G2, it's about adding a bit of diversity to their own game, so you don't always rely on, you know, what Jordan pointed out, trying to brute force your way in and will yourself on your opponent.
And the funny thing about that too is they have so many Chiefs. Is there too many? Is there not enough Indians? Because when you look at them and you talk to the G2 guys, all of them know what they should be doing. Right. So you wonder if there's something occasionally gets a little lost in translation between Smiths, NBK, and Shox, because they all can provide so much. So maybe that's part of the dance they're doing on their end. Yeah, right. I mean, the leadership structure for G2 does seem to be very free-flowing. You know, when we look at kind of other teams, you will look at Glaive and you'll say, yes, he is calling the shots for Astralis. That is, you can hear it. Whereas if G2 just seem to be more of a democracy in terms of that, the likes of Smith, you've just hit all three of them on the head.
They just need to have the patience in calling, in a sense that I gave them praise for what they did in that game versus FaZe. And then it was 14-13 for G2, and they forced buy with an awful buy. 14-14, they have between 2,000 and 2,400. Force buy again, because otherwise you concede match point. 15-14, you have between 2,500 and 3K. So the last 3 rounds of the game, you don't have a proper buy. The reason why they forced the first round was because Kenny had enough for an op. That's the only reason. And then it's like, if Kenny has enough for an op, we can always win the round. But I think you maybe need to have, you know,
a more basic view of where you're
a bit more, you know, look a bit further ahead than that. Just take the 1 eco, then you're at 14-14. You have a good buy for everyone, or at least 4 players, an op, M4s and everything.
You can get 1 good buy, 1 half shit buy, or 3 shit.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And you want to maximize your chances, especially considering how good you played in gun rounds. Like, you basically won 6 or 7 rounds in a row after losing pistol. Like, that's very difficult to achieve, especially against a team like FaZe. So just have a bit more faith in your gun round.
So you almost want, if you're, you know, G2 as an org or as like a long-term goal, you just want Smith to be able to slap people on the wrists during those timeouts. There's 30 seconds, just go, hey, wait, 1 round, you can buy anything you want. Does that? Do you need a bit more restraint? Even though we've got world-class Counter-Strike players in the server, in the G2 jersey, it's just those tiny, small, kind of, well, I mean, fantastic observation.
And something to add for the viewers out there who might not be following why we think that's a bad idea is, you know, a lot of times when you want to force buy, it's because the other team early in the half survived with 2 or less players. So when you might hear conflicting views on force buys from a lot of the analysts because of different points in the match, but when you have 3 rounds to work with, it's actually a common kind of theory craft point to say, do you want to get 3 shit buys or 1 good buy and 1 shit buy and then a save?
Sure.
Because are you going to get bombed down? What is the state of the map? Are you playing, you know, a map like Train where you're not getting any control, or a map like Cobble where it's easy to just walk a hall with a force buy? Then maybe the force buy has some merit. But it is very contextual, and so I just wanted to bring that up for the viewers to know that we're not all just hypocrites up here. It just there's context.
No, I mean G2 has a clear philosophy and it works for them. That's why they go for it. But even in that particular game, they weren't force buying after they lose pistol. They would, you know, just buy pistols without armor, and that way they have a decent buy coming into the first gun round, and I think that's great. That's a good change from G2 to basically spot it.
Yeah, money management has always been like such a running theme with G2 in general, and now this is the roster which they've chosen to go full. I remember I had an interview with them. Actually, I was doing stuff for Jinx, and they called in. And it was just the statement like, we plan to do, this is finally going to be like, this is our Virtus Pro for the French. They said, this is like, we're going to sign our lives away. Yeah, I know, comedy gold now. But we're going to basically sign up, and this is going to be like, through thick and thin, we're going to ride this out, ride or die for these guys. And it's kind of, it's refreshing to see that they're willing to play the long game with this G2 roster.
I mean, it's easy to say that, especially when you've been a team for only 6 or 9 months, right? VP has been together for 4 years now, so they really have been through thick and thin. And G2, yes, they've been maybe a bit underwhelming when you look towards the expectations we've had, but they still won tournaments, like high-tier tournaments every now and again. So they still can say, okay, maybe we didn't do what we wanted to, but it's not like we didn't achieve anything, and that's fueling them. What happens if G2 maybe doesn't win a tournament for 6 months, and that includes a couple of group stage exits? Do they still stick together? It's very hard seeing that, knowing the mentality of the French teams in the past.
That's a good point, and that's probably a discussion in a separate topic. Let's not deviate too far, because, of course, there is another team on the server, and there is, of course, map vetoes that have to be done. I think we don't get to do this often, but let's just do the map veto now, so we know which battleground we're going into before we investigate Liquid too much further. So, Nuke has been removed. We haven't seen any Nuke on this mainstream, have we? Not once. I think it's only been on the secondary streams we've kind of jumped into, like the Ninjas, Envy
versus NIP.
So we've got Train, Inferno gone. G2 have been dabbling in Inferno a lot.
I mean, for G2, it's, you know, Train is their go-to veto now instead of Mirage, and Inferno is actually a very strong map for Liquid. It has been with Stanislaw on the roster. They had some great wins on the map versus SK most notably, and you can see for Liquid, they don't want to play G2 on Nuke, getting rid of Overpass and Cobble, and with Cash and Mirage, I really want G2 to play Mirage, because on Mirage, Apex is the caller, and I feel the map really suits their playstyle. They're undefeated on it still on LAN. Liquid just played it and lost to Optics 16-10. They decide to go for Cash. But just to finish my point, the way they like to play, as Jordan pointed out, you know, be aggressive, you know, brute force their way in, a lot of aim duels. Mirage is a great map for that sort of a style. But then again, Cash is similar.
Cash too, right?
On the one side, for Cash, it's so easy to have a good T side, so that, I don't know, I think the fact that Steel just came into the team, maybe G2 is just going to run over them with that momentum, and Liquid might be a step behind.
And also for Liquid, Cash and Overpass were there to, they're 2 vetoes for Liquid. They have started to play like both maps a little bit to figure out which one is going to be their 6th map, so to speak. But Cash, especially in North America, I'm sure you can testify to that, is, you know, in PUGs it's played a lot. So even if you don't play it as a team, you can really improvise on it without too much.
Yeah, well, that is playing towards Liquid a little bit.
Yeah.
I do think it's pretty easy. Just like Cobble is a map where on T side you can kind of just sit back and the waste utility, and you can look like you know what you're doing. So that plays into Liquid's favor a little bit. But G2 also is one of the few teams who knows how to get aggressive on CT side.
Dude, Elige had a big one on Cash yesterday.
So this is going to be fun. I'm both T sides, both teams are looking to get into double digits on their T side, and I think it's possible.
I think just because for the guys at home, while we do take a look at just how well Elige did do on that T yesterday, I think I'm interested to hear you expand upon your statement just before, Jordan, where you said it's easy to have good T sides on Cash. I mean, is that just an observation, or is there more to it?
Basically, so what happens is, since the map's so spread out, now Cash is a little bit easier for Cobble than for the CTs to rotate sometimes, but I said those two maps in particular because in order to hold the early, you can break every round into 3 stages, right?
Okay,
early round, mid round, late round.
Yeah.
So on a map like Cash early round, there's a couple ways you're going to stop a bomb site. You're either going to use smokes early, so that you could use those smokes to say if the T's pop through, this is what's going to happen, or if you don't use the smokes, you have ops. So either way, the early round setups normally require quite a bit of money because you're using smokes right away or an op to hold B or A.
So from a CT perspective.
So from a CT perspective, you have to kind of do a lot to be comfortable in that early round. And if you don't, that's fine, but now the T's could walk in. You could walk in A main, you could walk in door, you could walk in B, and then all the while, mid's so close, you could have a lurker boosted and you could do something on either site. I say Cash and Cobble because both of them have very long rotations to their site and they're so spread out. I mean, I'm sure casters, I hear them talk about this all the time. Cash, I think one of the reasons some pros don't like it in Europe especially is because of the inherent kind of advantage the T's have. And like I said, you could play slow, and if the CTs throw a lot of nades early mid, then you just wait for them to throw the nades, and then you take mid.
So I like this 3 stages idea. So just to kind of outline it, 3 stages, got early, mid, and late game. The first, so for the CTs, just to get past level 1 is you're either going to have to put AWPs or smokes down.
Yeah.
So then to overcome the mid game, that's when you're talking about there being, you lose a player and the rotates take a long time.
Players, yep.
Yeah, okay.
And then the late game is the final hit. And the reason I say that's unique on Cash is because think of a map like this too. Even if you use all your utilities as CT and you get pushed back into your site, you could still lock down and run it off catwalk with an op or something, right? But if you get pushed back on Cash and you waste all your utility, and then the T's smoke off everything at A, and you have an op, you have to give up the site or something, you know. So it's one of those things where I think it's just easy to look good on T side because of those points.
I'm seeing a lot of nodding from you, Yanko. Does that kind
we could both kind to rant, so I want
No,
one
exactly. I'm interested.
I think it's just the fact, you know, in Europe why they hate it especially is because it's very difficult to hold mid as CT throughout the round, right? You can do it early on, send 3 players there, molly smokes, if you expect them to do the same and you want to fight for it, but after a while you need to back off, and that's where the CTs, you know, the teams get uncomfortable. You lose mid control, but you haven't taken control of A main, you haven't taken control of maybe B lobby or push squeaky, you're not in a 5v4, and that's where you feel pressured, right? Because you can't hold mid, that means they can split A, they can come B through the vents, and the teams look towards CT-sided aggression as something that's a switch-up. It's not the norm. The norm is to have like passive setups more or less, but Cash as a map
so dynamic.
Requires you to be more often than not aggressive on the CT side, and that's what, for example, Astralis, when they played it recently at the E-League playoffs, they did a very good job of constantly switching things up in an aggressive manner versus FaZe. And they had a 6 CT side, and that was probably a go-to way to play against the team that likes to run a default and then take mid control from you. So similar way that G2 likes to play on their T side, and you know, you would think, yeah, but they're like aggressive all the time, that doesn't really work, you know, they're gonna get punished somewhere, but the thing is, even if you get punished somewhere, you get map information at the very least, and that allows your players on the opposite side of the map.
But it's still really difficult, because you would think from saying that it's easy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You would think like, oh, well, then you just need to get aggressive in A main or not. But even with that, you could take A main, or you could take B checker, and the T's could still retake it from you late by simply faking. Yeah. So all that said, I'm excited for this matchup because I think both teams are going to take the gloves off here and show something fun.
I think that's the perfect scene set. We've seen what Liquid are capable of versus Renegades, or Elige even was capable of. G2, I've got a lot riding on this one after a bit of a slow start from the French. High expectations for another fantastic game. Gambit already just blown all expectations out of the water with the very first game of this group. Let's jump into the second. It's going to be Liquid then battling on Cash versus G2. Prepare yourselves, and the casters.
Yes, thank you, Alex. G2 and Team Liquid. Such a critical game for both teams, which is, as we mentioned a couple times, a little bit crazy considering Liquid has won 2 games, but both overtime, so those points have not given them as much as they would like, obviously. And on Cash as well, so a map that's going to lend itself to a lot of the skill on the G2 side of things.
Yeah, this is gonna be a flat-out brawl, I reckon, looking at it. I mean, you know, we've just seen Liquid and G2 both kind of shunted down towards the bottom of the group. They reside kind of in last and second to last between them. And yeah, I mean, Liquid's 2 overtimes win might have been serving them well yesterday, but you know, time is fast running out for these teams. They have to try and get positions up on the leaderboard. Of course, every map counts. That's kind of the thing here, right?
Yeah, although, I mean, you know, in this kind of a group stage, you kind of say that the whole time. Every map counts. Elige had a big game yesterday on this. We saw some of those highlights in the pregame. Shocks, here's some of that aggression, trying to move up, and Elige gives him a second opportunity to take off his head. JDM doesn't pounce, perhaps sensing that this is a trap, because that's exactly what it is. There's 3 G2 players behind Shocks waiting for it, and oh my god, somehow NBK finds him. I don't even think JDM thought that was a possibility, but it obviously is. So, man down for Liquid early.
Was he in the air? I'm really not sure what that was just then, but MBK will be dealt with in mid. The magical man that is MBK going to be silenced. We're back to the 4-on-4, but look at this. That B bomb site is wide open. No one on there as they did opt to stack mid early on. They have the one other man, Apex, up on A. So if Liquid just go blasting in now, they are going to get this site entirely for free. Yeah,
and now they're starting to rotate. Unfortunately, Liquid obviously can't know this, but they're delaying this quite some time. That smoke is going to get them in, the Molotov into this site as well, so they should be able to come in relatively scot-free, barring any lucky shots through the smoke. Twist going to get across, running into the flames just a bit. The bomb will get planted, and Steel's watching the flank. Apex dropping out of vents, is not able to find Elige, and Liquid is holding on. The other half of this retake hasn't even gotten into the action yet. Kenny and Body trying to find their way in as the nades all fade. Decoy being thrown out. Kenny not even taking a shot, just looking for info, and he's all alone now. Oh, that's 2 quick kills. He could get a third here. Twist is out in the open. He can't connect the shots. And now he's got to hurry up. He's got no kit. He just has to go take the fights, and he's almost able to find it, and that almost got wild. But it is a pistol round for Liquid in the end.
Yeah, that's going to be a good start here for Liquid. They're desperate to start to climb back up this ladder and into safety, of course. Now, going to be able to buy down what they can. It's going to be the case that we've got some SMGs broken on out to try and make some money. JDM and Twist picking those up. And G2, as has become quite common, we're not going to see them buy up armor into this round. Instead, you know, focusing on maintaining that utility, the extra nades, of course, into round 4 when they do go for the buy.
That's another pistol round loss for G2. I think yesterday they didn't even win a single pistol round throughout this group. So this has been the bane of their existence in Group B. Liquid in the second round being very conservative, just waiting far back for any kind of aggression. G2 has stacked the B-bomb site with 4. It's up to Liquid to find it out.
Yeah, and already I think, you know, with the position that we're seeing, they are waiting for any sort of early aggression to come through. They have 3 players stacked up over there at A. One thing that scares me is, as they now start to rotate back, Steel, of course, hasn't seen anything, but they aren't already probing in towards any of these sites just yet. They've got plenty of time still to play with. But, I mean, it's all too often where we see them just kind of hedge their bets. They haven't seen anything early on. They'll just kind of walk into a site and then things could turn sour very, very quickly.
I imagine that they're going to have someone, though, with this mid-control, at least probing up mid towards the bomb site, and that could do one of 2 things. Obviously, they could discover that it seems pretty open, but also it feels like it could pull away some of this stack. The question is, how much pressure is Nitro going to put on towards A? Because at the moment, it does look like they're leaning towards a B split, and this could just be a nightmare. They've got 1 Molotov to use, and they're going to go right into the stack. Here comes a battle.
Yeah, you really hate to see it. They're going to go pushing on in. 4 players for G2. Fantastic odds to try and keep this away. But Elige and Nitro, not fans of the stack, going to be shutting this one down. It all falls to Kenny. He's been allowed to take 1, reloads the Deeg, but finished off, not in time. MBK versus 3, actually able to make it the 1-on-2, but the lack of armor, the aim punch, all of that plays into it. And Liquid, they're able to quickly get that back under control.
That could have been much worse. Liquid do a great job of getting some initial kills. This is everything G2 wanted. Unfortunately, they can only get the 1 kill, 2 kills, I think, actually, on the initial entries, but Liquid does a great job taking out those deagles at range before they can cause too much trouble. Nitro and Twist, you expect to be the aggressors here with the SMGs. 5 players this time for G2, so we've seen some interesting stacks, and I think this one they're just going to go for the tank strategy. They're just going to push forward. Not a very great tank, all things considered. The UMP could go to work here. It's got 1. Twist not able to build up any more kills behind that, unfortunately. And Kenny's the last one left, and he's gonna get a nice headshot onto Steel. Swapping out, but that should be his doom, and I don't know how he's still alive, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, JDM actually just going to play things safe. Has to get the hell out of there. Kenny's going AK, but he's only got 2 HP.
Oh, that last kill is great. So that AK-47 actually helps him out. A 3rd kill in the round, so some pretty decent economic damage to Team Liquid in the previous 2. That's as good as G2 could have liked it to be, barring actually winning one of them.
Yeah. Still scary sentiment that Kenny's allowed to do that much damage despite being tagged down so low. I mean, when you look at it right now, they've invested in AKs across the board. They can go for a bit of a partial buy in the next round if they lose this, thanks to the extra money on JDM and Nitro. But even then, you can't ever feel like those first couple of rounds should have been cleaner.
And here's this aggression from G2. This is what they were talking about on the desk. Body has pushed in towards A main very early on, at least gotten the info that nothing's coming. Shox is going to be in the vents. This is 2 players essentially at the B bomb site. The Molotov gets put out. That's scary if you're Team Liquid, but this is what they like to do. They like to group up early when they win the first 3 rounds because they're trying to take advantage of the economy. NBK completely blind. He's up top. He does eventually fall. Shox getting into the action now, coming through the smoke, finds 2, but it's into a 3-on-3.
Rotations start to come in. Apex is actually doing decent damage. Now he finds himself pinned. Body's going to arrive just in the nick of time, and now it's Twists. 1 versus 3. It's his birthday yesterday. Now he is to be the gift, and it's not meant to be. Kenny peeks on round, finds the frag, and G2, they're going to come into this swinging with their first round there in the rifle. And actually with that, buying up now becomes a very tricky prospect for Liquid. I think the extra money for JDM and Twists means they could elect to go for a force here. Nitro as well going to have some.
I think they should be buying here. They can get 3 AK-47s. They can even get an AWP if they want, and indeed they do. JDM's got that, 2 AKs behind it, and then a UMP and a CZ. So with this kind of money, you don't want to relinquish the early control of the economy over to G2. You don't want to allow them to string 2 together. That was a great round for mid-control from G2 because Shox goes through vents. He only gets 1, but it's Apex, the follow-up, who gets a critical kill, and staying alive, and Checkers pretty much ensures that round, delaying things as well. Tough break for Liquid as it looked like they were going to get into the site. And again, waiting for pushes, and it's Kenny who's going to be this tip of the spear with the aggression and the AWP. It's going to be tough. The flash is over. He misses the shot. Actually, he tags him through the truck. Elige down to 36 HP. He's only got the UMP, so it's not the biggest deal in the world. But good early damage from G2.
Yeah, Kenny this time going to be lying in wait. Watches him, man. Going to be boosting up Apex and Body. Curious to see how this pans out for them. Really don't expect the one-man to beat. I think it's going to be the bait and switch, right?
Listen, yeah, and if they go A, this is going to be deadly. But if they don't go A, this is a lot of manpower dedicated to 1 boost that might not come to fruition. Risky tactic for G2, but it could pay off. 30 seconds left in the round as mid-control comes out for Team Liquid delayed. They've only got 2 smokes left, a couple flashbangs and an HE grenade. Where do they decide to go from here? Kenny is now rotating from the A bomb site. It's going to be a B hit. They're going to come out of these vents. There's the vent popping. Nitro gets blinded. So does Shox. Still no aggression into the site quite yet. Shox is going to get cleared out. Not even a shot from him. No response. Good trading. They've got to neutralize Kenny, and he's got JDM. Now he's got a chance for more.
Kenny able to rain in a second. There's no time left. He prevents it with that frag. And that's the round for G2. Liquid betrayed by the clock as they leave that one down to the line. Kenny's able to pounce on in. And when he finds the potential bomb plant of that round is all said and done.
It was Kenny this round. It was Apex in the previous round who gets that 1 critical kill to turn the tide. But yeah, just running this clock down a little too low. I think that timing to jump into the site was off. He gets picked out in the air, hangs too long. Small investment into some pistols with no armor on JDM and Elige, CZ on Nitro. But this is good for G2. T-sides can rack up a lot of rounds on cash, but at the moment G2 is keeping that money flowing into their bank accounts.
So, Liquid, they've gone and boosted a man up into middle early on. Elige going to be waiting to see if anyone tries their hand aggression into Squeaky. It's actually Shox who's boosting our vents. He's going to start to peek over into middle, see what this holds in store for G2. Stray nade doesn't find any damage. It's Steel to open up. Shox, he had gone out aggressive over a mid. He's going to pay for that with his life. And you can already see the effect that that's had. Apex starts to rotate off from B. Is they going to fall in towards C with Body holding a truck? He is somewhat left out in the open here. Players up through Highway going to catch him off guard. And MBK playing this from his famed corner. Tries to hold the fort and hold it down. He will. Going to be in with a second frag before he's traded out. Bomb plant comes in for Liquid. Plenty of time this time around. And Kenny won't be gifted any opportunity to deny this as he was in the previous.
I think Kenny's just going to have to save his weapon, maybe try and get some exits. Showing some fancy footwork. As I say that, he misses the jump. Great round from Steel. 3 kills coming up Highway. You can see how deadly that mid control is. Even in a round where they only have 2 rifles to bring into it, he gets that entry. Liquid has the presence in mid, and coming up Highway, it's very, very difficult to recover that map control once you've lost it if you're G2. And just one misstep. They have that player, I think it was Body, who was out in the open getting fired at from A main and also coming up from Highway. It's just such a difficult position to be in. Just like that, the money on G2 is gone. They're going to drop an AWP over to Kenny. That's going to kind of equalize the money in terms of Apex. And they're going to buy into this pretty much entirely, except for a couple players. Armor and pistols bought up. Body even goes back to recover from it. A boost over the smoke on the AWP is going to find him 1. I don't think Liquid's expecting an op to be out in this round, so nicely done from G2 surprising their opponents.
And now being a man down, these pistols, they become that much more threatening, and you can see that Liquid, they've grinded to a halt. They've taken some pressure out here in towards middle. Elige and Twists are there, and luckily enough, Twist is packing it in the utility department.
They're getting picked off at this point. You might as well just hit the B bomb site. You've lost 2 players to the AWP. You've got nothing left. You have no presence on that side of the map. No reason to wait. Just go for it. Apex hears things just now. Waiting for the right moment to drop a smoke. There it is, but it might be a little late. Steel already pressuring him. Now peering towards CT spawn. They need to cross into the site, but they don't have anything down. They don't have the utility to block off that choke point. They've just got to fight for it, and it's not working. They're losing that battle, and Twist is all alone. He's going to get dropped. No, he's not. He spins for the headshot. Coming through, and he's almost able to get that. Body 17 HP as he drops down, and a great return from G2. All they brought into this was an AWP and pistols.
Yeah, I mean, you know, G2, they are kind of famously good on these force buy rounds when they do have the pistols, when you've kind of counted them out and imagine it's a round they can't win. That's when they're great at scraping these together. Now, you know, Liquid kind of getting a taste of their own medicine. They've got no money here. Twist has himself the CZ, but that really is it for them. A little bit of utility to try and work with. Main focus of this looks to be the bomb plant. You can see 3 players all grouped up there in Squeaky. They're going to look to just try and brute force their way into the site, overwhelm MBK. And it's actually going to work in their favor for the time being. If they went right now, it's only 1 man here. And as they start to work their way in, MBK's fully blind. He falls at the first hurdle, doesn't hold down the fort. Twist is allowed to go out and get that bomb down. Going to be holding close with the CZ. Expansive Shoxy. Advantage up here. I was going to say for Liquid, but that nade's enough to start to pull things back. And oh, in goes another. What's going on? It's turned into basketball. JDM tries to do what he can. But as the rest of his teammates just get obliterated by the artillery around him. And him only having a Glock, there's not much he can do. So, bomb plant acquired, but the round still goes the way of G2.
Yes, and that's actually quite nice for Team Liquid, all things considered. You get 3 kills, you get the bomb plant. That's gonna, you know, run. That's a pretty expensive round for G2, especially considering into this one they're gonna switch into a double op setup. So heavy investment from G2 on the CT side, and Liquid have a phenomenal buy. You couldn't ask for anything more if you're a Liquid player in here. So. Big round for this half, tied up at 4-4. Both of these teams battling them out. Flashbangs, this is a very fast, aggressive mid control. It's the boost over the smoke in mid again. Hasn't yielded any kills, and they're going to bail out. Body and Shox are on top of each other.
Liquid starting to take control of middle. JDM posted up here in a main body. You can see actually going to be watching Highway and Elige. He did just kind of show face there a little bit. Now starts to retreat back, and it's very much got the attention of G2 looking into middle. Body's wary of it. You can see Shock's going to start to rotate off over here towards the B bomb site. They're expecting this to to be a fake. They've showed aggression in middle. They threw out some smokes and flashes in towards A, but it is going to be the double fake from Liquid. At least that's what it looks like right now. Shox has rotated back around. 3 players for Liquid in Squeaky. They're going to try and go aggressive. The timing here might be perfect. They catch the nades out. Nitro going to be able to get both in return. And now NBK over in the back of Quad has to single-handedly try and defend this A-bomb site. Effectively a 1 versus 3. Apex has arrived to help out, but it might be too little too late as NBK's fallen. Kenny only just making it into middle, and there's the call to save to come in. 2 AWPs carried forward for Liquid. And this will be a 5th round.
What a round from Nitro. Just, I mean, the 2 entries are incredible. The timing on that aggression from G2 almost couldn't have been better for them. No one from Liquid prepared for that, and Nitro responds perfectly. It's going to be a 5th round, and you're exactly right. Though Kenny just wants this AWP in the next because they've already won a round where he's had the only AWP, and if they choose to do it, they can force buy behind it. Whether Shox getting a UMP, I think Kenny will be able to drop an M4. So chances moving forward for G2, but great response. Liquid about to go up 5-4. And if you want context for what this match means, I've just gotten word from production that G2 Esports, if they lose in regulation, they are out of IEM Oakland. They will be eliminated. If they lose in overtime, they're still not 100% out. It's obviously not great. But G2 have to win this.
Yeah, they're, of course, currently last in the group. It is real desperation here from them. And things got off to a good start in these drive rounds, but since then it's been back and forth. You can see that economy once again whittled down. They're going to get reset and have to force buy up what they can. They have the second AWP up on MBK. Body and Apex, they've shown these pistols can do damage, but lots of flashes and smokes out towards middle. They're going to scoot right on by Shox as he lights in wait. Apex going to be baiting things out. You can see MBK and Body, everyone rotating in. It's a party over here in mid, and Shox, well, he wants to shut this whole thing down. In with the first. Twist is there, all in his lonesome, and Kenny and Shox between them start to lay waste to this Liquid side. Kenny's protecting B, and they cannot get past him. Kenny with 3 massive frags there. And G2, they're straight back into this with a reset onto Liquid.
Oh, it's Shox. That's the sneaky one. I mean, he's making the call the whole time. He's like, come mid. You guys have presence. As soon as the smoke fades, I'm going to have at least 1 kill. And the distraction is huge. You can see Twist here, I mean, takes that fight with Shox, but knows he's just going to die from the other angle, even if he wins it. So huge round from G2. They've had a couple surprises on the CT side that have caught Liquid off guard. Obviously, Kenny still having a great game. He's at 16-5 with that AWP. He's going to be over at the B bomb site now. It's NBK with the second AWP that's going to be under pressure. Pop flash doesn't blind Body. There's the spray down of 1. Traded immediately. Shox is here, though, to hold him back. And NBK chiming in. It's shut down quickly this time.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's scary now, if you are a Liquid fan, is that Kenny is looking on form. And that's always someone that could really kind of bring this G2 squad together. Apex has been a little bit quiet so far. I don't really think we've seen him do too much worth of mention, which, you know, I mean, it doesn't necessarily live up to the numbers, you know, we used to think of when we considered the name Apex, but still would be nice to see him really start to pull things through, because G2, they need this. It's the only way that they're...
Yeah, I mean, that'd be huge for them to go out to get into the playoffs here, at least give themselves a chance. The moment it's going to be Body and NBK under pressure again. Twist and Nitro with the utility. Nitro's in the door. He's going to drop that. Should help block NBK off with the AWP. Going to come right through. That's a flashbang. Didn't work out entirely. NBK had to run the gauntlet, and here they come through. Plenty of reinforcements have arrived. This should be pretty easy, unless plays like that give over too many rifles. NBK around the edge of the smoke finds 1. They've got to take him down. Elige is going to get the bomb down. That's going to be the bonus money for them. They're going to be happy about that one. And there it is. Round's over, but 2 kills in a bomb plant.
Yeah, and that's good. They're going to be allowed to get the AWP up here indefinitely. They had so much money anyway, so the bomb plant combined with the loss bonus going to be padding those bank accounts that much more here over on the T side. They've got enough to get utility. They should actually be able to buy into the next round as well on the back of this, or at least scrape something together.
G2's got great money as well. Their economy game is very strong, and they've had a phenomenal run as soon as the gun rounds began.
Yeah.
They've won 7 of 9 gun rounds.
Yeah, Yeah, which is absolutely insane, right?
Yeah, it's impressive to say the least. It's been off the back of this man, Kenny. He's going to have the angle. He wants to get aggressive, actually. And not only does he have the angle, he's getting a lot of information for his team that there's no presence on the B side of the map. So it's going to allow G2 to lean over towards A if they'd like. They have a boost currently inside the A bomb site.
MBK holding mid with the AWP. He is about to have a Liege propelled his way. And Liquid, I mean, we've seen them try over and over again out on this A bomb site. They look now to see if they can find more success with the rifles, with the extra utility. They start to pump all men up here in towards A. That boost from G2 going to be dismantled. Smokes and flashes now being lined up. And Body and Shocks, they're about to try and attempt the boost on up here. The timing might not be great. You can hear that Squeaky's just open. They know they have to move swiftly, and Shock's just going to get up there in the nick of time. He's been spotted out, and Twist in with 2. That's the A-bomb site cracked wide open. Elige now on the flank, going to be allowed to shut down MBK and Apex and Kenny. They are very much isolated and locked out of this site. Kenny's the last man left, 1v5, and just wants to think about staying alive.
That boost was just so poorly timed. Unlucky for G2. I mean, that might have been maybe a second or two away from being perfect on either end of that, but Twist spots it out, gets both kills. Great awareness from him. It's just Kenny all alone, and this would actually be huge if they're able to get this AWP out of his hands. The economy of G2 is strong, but if you can force a reset this late in the half, I mean, there's only one more round, or 2 more rounds after this. But still, I mean, that last round, if you can beat it up and have an easier time, that'd be great. Liquid with their 6th getting back into this. Not going to find Kenny in the end. Timeout called by G2. Here it is, the Twist POV. Oh, he sees a bullet hit the floor, and as he turns to take out Body, he even spots Shocks out in the open. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of spoke about how many of these rifle rounds have gone the way of G2, but even then, that one AWP, had they had to rebuy it, that could have really turned that economy into turmoil, right? So it's been kept fairly modest here from Liquid, and there's still a shot for them to actually finish off the half and actually, win out the half. If they can get this round here, take the weapons out the hands of G2, then they can still, they can definitely still afford to buy, but it's just, will they have the full utility? Will they have what they need? And with that double AWP setup still coming into play in this round, that is really called into question.
Well, here we go. 7-6. NBK with an AWP. This time he's in mid. He's not towards the A bomb site where we've seen him frequently. Kenny's going to have the other AWP over in checkers. Biding his time when he wants to pounce. Steel is going to be here, but he doesn't have any Molotovs to flush Kenny out of this position. In fact, he's burning in his own teams, I believe. This will be interesting. Steel's able to check this. Molotov to burn out vents. No one comes out. Steel is in a tough spot. NBK's gotten a kill. There's it. Kenny peeks out. He gets his head taken off, and Elige finds NBK. It's both ops down. Apex is alone at this B bomb site, and there's 3 players from Team Liquid here, but he's going to catch Steel unawares. It's an awkward spot. He's traded immediately. Body can't get there in time, so the bomb will at least get planted, although actually that flashbang slows it down, but Body gets dropped. Cannot complete Elige.
Yeah, I mean, you can see Shock was completely unaware there of Nitro lying in wait over a mid. It's going to be 7-7, and that's where things are going to get tricky here for G2. They have money to drop rifles across, but they've gone for the AWP up on Kenny, and that was kind of the real big question mark to me, was did they decide to keep the AWP up, or did they kit out the rest of the team?
I mean, listen, they already won that round previously where it was Kenny with an AWP and 4 pistols, so I think, especially with the type of game he's had at 16-6, you just give him the weapon. He's been phenomenal so far, and you just take that risk. Other games, maybe if he's not having a great performance or he's cooled down, obviously, maybe you can make that decision. But this one here, I think, is the right one. Shock's pushed up aggressively. This time he gets punished. And he was all alone in mid. And there's JDM finding Kenny as well. Big kill. Liquid looking to take a lead into the second half.
Apex, though, it's a waterfall of death onto him. Elige finally deals with him. But he's made this round possible. He's provided a faint glimmer of hope here for G2. They have to retake this B-bomb site. It's going to be a 2 versus 3. They've got some utility to work with. That first incendiary tries to flush anyone out beneath Ben's. body's going to go down. It all gets left on the shoulders of NBK. Gets spotted, drop it out. Desperately needs the AK to try and take this fight. He'll be allowed to get it. Peeks on out, but Elige going to be quick to shut him down. Doesn't want to give any opportunity there to NBK to make his way back into that, and that will be an 8-7 scoreline. Liquid, they'll be the ones winning out the half.
Yes, and they had to fight for that. The last 3 rounds of the half go their way. It was all G2 on the gun rounds for some time, but Liquid do recover. They figure it out, and they end with the lead. That's nice for them, and this is a big match for both teams. We mentioned G2 has to win in regulation, or else they, well, no, they, in One half remaining for their tournament life. G2 Esports, if they lose in regulation, they are eliminated. And as you can see, Kenny S doing everything he possibly can to avoid that. 16-7, almost 100 ADR. He's had a blistering half with the AWP. But on the other side, it's Elysian Twist. Both of them are right under 100 ADR, 14 and 12 kills. They've been a phenomenal duo for this Team Liquid roster for some time now, but certainly in this game performing at a high level.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, right, G2, everyone coming into this expected them, I think, to do very, very well. They had that third-place finish at Epicenter, I think it was, and then also winning out Malmo. I mean, they'd look to be in good form, and I think everyone thought this would be an event where really we would see some next-level stuff from G2, and even considering the fact they could just potentially be out based on the outcome of this one game, is actually insane. So,
ooh, Apex is in a really tough position. There's no one in the B bomb site right now because of Apex positioning. That's great. Nitro's going to be spamming through, trying to find that kill. It's not going to happen, though. This is going to be a really tough round for Liquid to win. They need to find some kills on the way into the site, but the bomb's getting planted in a 5-on-5.
Yeah, it's going back to the retake server here, and Kenny is going to keep things even. 4-on-4. Bomb has gone down. Liquid, slowly but surely, pushing in through CT and Heaven. They're going to go on the back of this smoke, and in it will rain. You can see boosted up in the vents. That's going to be JDM. He starts to peek in. Twist, meanwhile, inside the site, going to go ahead and decapitate the first. Kenny and Shox very quickly turn things around, and Twist left 1 versus 3. Ducks back through their smoke in the crosshair. Going to try and get the hell out of there here as this round is all said and done. G2 will be picking themselves up the pistol in the second half. They managed to find Twists, but they get the round.
This could be one of their, I think this is their first pistol round in the entire tournament that they've won. Actually, I mean, don't quote me on that, obviously, but I think it is, considering yesterday they were 0-for-6. That's craziness from G2. Nice win. I think that positioning of Apex surprised the hell out of Elige when he rotated back through the vents and checkers. He was not expecting a player to be there whatsoever, and you could see as soon as G2 spots mid-aggression from Team Liquid, they just rotate immediately to B, because Apex is just saying, listen, I have it. If you come here, we just get the bomb site. There's been no one that's spotted me. I have everything we could possibly need to take the site. It's perfect. And now even fast control of mid off those 2 kills. Steel and JDM are pushed up. There's a kill from Steel with the CZ, so still a whole lot of opportunities for G2 to take this round. Going to go over towards A. It's only Twist here, and he's dropped immediately.
Yeah, they're allowed to get control of A, no problem. And Steel and JDM not even going to try moving off of B for this one, just going to stick with what they've got. I mean, we can really see that determination from Kenny as we kind of brought up top of the board, 19-7 right now. He's got a bit of a checkered history, I guess you'd say, at a lot of these IEM events, even if you think back to when he was with Envy. Don't ever think they really posted anything too significant. I actually recall they exited in the groups at Katowice last year in 2016.
Certainly have their ups and downs.
So, yeah, I mean, I think this is one that really G2 kind of hungering for, one that they're very, very desperate to try and win out, and all of it really falls onto this map here. So this round going to go the way of G2. They take the lead back. It's going to be 9-8. Liquid, they keep a MAC-10 and a CZ, but that's not really much to work with in this round. It's
all right. They didn't invest a whole lot in that previous round, so they're going to have a very strong buy into the 4th, as long as they don't, try and overspend here. They still have that CZ from Steel. Can do some damage with that. They're buying up some nades. Elige and JDM both have HEs. Interesting to see where they go. Smoke is out towards mid. There's going to be a setup, a stack of some sort of door push, actually. 2 players coming in, and NBK's ready for that. He's not going to get fooled whatsoever. Steel dropped immediately. There goes Elige. So again, 2 quick kills for G2 on the anti-eco. Is going to pretty much solidify their win in this round right at the start.
And Nitro's going to be trying to hold mid, but Shox is reading this well. You can see he's got his eyes fixated on the angle. He suspects that someone's going to be holding it close, that they've gone for the bait and switch. If that SMG can find a frag, that would definitely come in handy. Just provide them with that much more cash, especially seeing as JDM currently sits on 3.4 grand, but no. That's going to be a 10th for G2. So that's the exact start to this second half that they wanted. 10-8 as they retake the lead. This time, as you said, getting their first pistol round, I think, at this whole event under their belts.
Yes, which they desperately needed. It's going to be 5 AK strategy for G2 side of things. JDM's got his ult. We'll have to see Team Liquid's CT side how aggressive they want to be. JDM's going to be alone initially towards the B bomb, so you imagine Nitro is going to get put up in the vents. This is all 5 players quickly for G2 over towards A. Twist has a big job to do, a lot on the young man's shoulders. That's a nice nade. Shox and body brought down very, very low. Elige cheating up highway now. There's going to be a pop flash eventually, you would assume, from this G2 side. Here it comes.
Apex throws it out, denies the Molotov as well, and now the rest of the team follows suit, pushing on in. Elige tries to do what he can. He's able to open up with 1. Twist has snuck by into the backline, and he's being railed from all sides. Will be falling down. 3 versus 3 as the bomb plant comes on in, and Liquid slowly but surely making their way up. You've got JDM. Over here, a truck. The Molotov keeps him away. Steel falls prey to the boost from Shox. Now it's just Nitro and JDM left, and JDM falls short. Nitro left in a 1 versus 2. Gonna make the decision to try and go for this one. Starts to push on in. Spots Apex out over at quad. Time working against him. Gonna go charging in. Shoxy misses the opening volley. Now Nitro's turned it into a 1 versus 1. 1 HP is all that separates them. And Nitro's able to get the frag, but there is no time left for the defuse. It's gonna be an 11th round to G2.
And they lose all 5 weapons on the Liquid side of things. Everyone dead at the end of that round. Very awkward initial defense from Elige and Twist. They tried to go for this boost, and Elige realized he already missed the timing of it. So even though Nitro gets these kills at the end, that's quite nice, but couldn't pick up a kit on the way in. Heartbreaking as well, considering Shox burned down to 4 HP, and that was it. If he had fallen there, maybe Nitro can make a better play. Maybe he can get in a little faster and able to find that defuse, even if it's 10 seconds. But G2... that's a great win for them to move forward into the second half. 11-8, and it's back down to pistols for Liquid as they're waiting for this losing bonus to maximize. We saw them yesterday win one of these rounds in heroic fashion on the 30th to force overtime on Mirage. They're going to start needing some of those same plays here.
Looks like the call to stack has come in as well. It's going to be all 5 players for Liquid over here on A. They're going to try their hand at some aggression. And while initially G2 were holding for this, now they've started to migrate. A couple of players over here towards main. MBK could get caught with a nade out. Going to flash it. Finds the first man close. Does he suspect Twist? Yes, he does. MBK. Shortly going to fall prey to Elige. Bit of damage done. And he keeps peeking into this, and he's just giving them the one-on-ones. Now he's gone down. Apex is snuck into the back, but he's tagged very low. They're going to start to take that bomb over towards B. Reading this well, but even then, they have to take their time clearing all these angles. They can't afford to get caught off guard. We, of course, know there's no one there. But for all G2 now, these last 2 men could reside inside the B bomb site.
JDM now just has to keep this up. I don't even think Nitro should move. You just play bodyguard, you keep that AWP alive, make sure that you're going to have in the next round for no money, because the economy is going to be a big thing moving forward if Liquid want to be able to actually fight this. And obviously having it up in JDM's hands is a big, big deal. Apex trying to hear some noises, trying to find some information of where they can be. And Liquid setting up to save these guns. Nitro is going to be boosted. 12-8 now will be the score into the next round in Liquid. With the losing bonus at 5 at its maximum, they can have anything they could possibly want. Same with G2. They're going to have a pretty strong economy moving forward, only losing 2 players in this round. So they're set up quite nicely for the end of this game, and Liquid's got to wrestle that control away from them. That's the big problem, is finding the winning recipe here for Team Liquid. Previous round, all they have to go off in the 1 gun round in this half is a 5-man standard A execute that they weren't able to stop. They missed the timing on a boost into the site by a couple seconds. They're going to get a second chance here.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I just think it's kind of the polar opposites in these AWPers that could be making such a huge difference. Kenny, of course, really leading the way for G2, and then you look at the flip side, which is kind of JDM trailing off a bit. You can see Twist now to be taking the second AWP for the team. Will that be enough to mix things up? Steals over here in Vents. That's going to be a nice quick rotation into the B-bomb site. And G2, 4 players stacked up here initially. They're going to start to seep on in. They hear Steel break the vents. They know that he's there.
Question is, do they know there's 2 defenders already inside the B-bomb site? That could catch them off guard. It is JDM and Nitro. And there's JDM. There's the op kill. They might think that Steel is the second defender here, so this could catch him off guard. Apex has made his way in towards Checkers already. He's going to be smoked off, though. And I think now Liquid has to just kind of assume that he's there. Steel's feeling very comfortable with that smoke deployed. Oh. All right.
It's a bad day if you're Apex. Doesn't even see the enemy. Elige able to go to drop out MBK. in mid in the blink of an eye. This round all falls to Kenny and Shox, and Shox doesn't last, neither does Kenny. Still able to find that frag. Liquid can arrive at a 9th now. Trying to close this gap. There's still plenty of money for G2.
That's a huge round for Liquid. The fact they survived with all 5 members alive, like that's great. I mean, that helps out so much. They're going to put some money in the coffers. G2's going to have to buy back into this. Phenomenal start for Liquid if they want to come back into this. 9-12. They've got the double up setup still going strong. On Twist, though, we normally see it on Nitro, so that's an interesting swap.
Gonna be watching B once again. Kenny's holding passively from the T-spawn. Want to see if Liquid try and mix things up, try their hands at any aggression. JDM just gonna be holding the opposite angle with the AWP. Has the flash from Steel, the support from his teammates, so that if that push does come in, they have that crossfire set up at least. And G2 now starting to pull away from B. But they're going to try focusing on middle. You can see you've got Shox already across. Now they boost up Apex, and this dynamic duo are going to try and seize control of middle.
Nitro's in mid as well to try and help out, so him and Steel could pounce at a certain moment. Now would be a great time. Steel hears the footsteps, there's the head, he can't get the kill. Now it's a very dangerous situation. He's got to bail out. Nitro's finally has his back. Steel's got to keep moving though. He can't stay here. They're coming through vents and he's going to get out just in time as they turn the corner. But the B hit is still on. NBK is the bomb alone in mid. Apex and Body pressuring towards this B bomb site. It's on a knife's edge this round, and here are the Molotovs into the site.
Time's ticking low. G2 have to move quickly. JDM, he just has to keep them away, but Body, Kenny, and Apex, they have managed to get a foothold inside of B. That bomb gonna go down just in the nick of time. Twists and Nitro left to retake, but don't count them out just yet. Nitro, he's been able to open up with 1, make that 2. Kenny's gonna hit the deck as well now. MBK in the site. Just going to tuck himself away. Twist waiting for that smoke to dissipate. They're going to try and push through CT together. And a lot of this now going to fall on Body. He's the linchpin to try and help MBK out. It has to be on point. And yep, between them, they're going to do it. G2, they hold onto that round. And with that,
yeah, I mean, Liquid's defense just never got comfortable there. That was so weird for Steel falling back into the site, trying to decide what to do. And when the hit comes in, 3 players from Team Liquid just fall without any real fight. JDM gets caught in an awkward timing. Steel's burning alive inside the bomb site. And Elish, I think, just gets picked off for rotating over, trying to find something to do. But today is looking to be rough for Team Liquid. They lost earlier against Optic, down 9-13 at the moment to G2. They don't have a whole lot of time. In fact, they almost have no time remaining to kind of turn up in this match. We do have a tactical timeout. Obviously, they're going to buy up into this because they have some decent money. The previous run, as I mentioned, they had all 5 players survive, so they can get all back in JDM's hand. They can get 2 M4s. They have 2 FAMAs next to it. They have a couple of kits as well. But G2 has showed up today.
yeah, I mean, G2 are looking very good right now. Sitting pretty, at least for the time being. Money still doesn't look as comfortable as I think they would like, but there is time for them to work, and that Liquid have no such luxury. In fact, they've put everything into this round, so the reset is going to be looming over their heads. And initially, we've got MBK playing his standard position on Cash, which is over here towards Squeaky. See him here every single round.
Oh, that's a huge fight to win. Twist returning fire through the door. Gets that opening pick. That's great. Apex going to try and lead the way over Boost. It's a 5-on-4 situation. G2's been able to do a lot with just minimal presence in mid. Steel has a smoke. If they do molly him out again, it's happened a couple times. Body's looking to cut him off. The bomb on Shox is rotating over towards B as well. It's just Steel and JDM here. Nitro is pretty firmly committed over towards A. He's going to have a long rotation back. That's a big kill for Steel to get. Great timing on the pounce.
Kenny will be waiting to see if he can catch him, peeking back out into middle. In the meantime, Body and Shox, now they're weary because got the man up in vents. Look at that presence as well from Elige on your minimaps. You can see he's all the way up through Squeaky, all the information gained, and they know this play is going to be coming in towards B. The rotation's already coming through from Liquid. And they're now going to look to try and rotate this bomb back, and Elige,
oh, no.
The timing here couldn't be worse. The only man who hears any of this is Steel. He's got the idea as to what's going on, but Kenny holds the angle. Twist going to start to peek out, able to deal with one, nearly two, but Body quick to react. Elige going to come back into this as someone to keep an eye on, though.
Elige is so frustrated at the moment. He had the game-winning flank, and they just found the timing to slip out of his clutches. JDM can't see anything. The smoke is cutting him off. Elige at door. It's got to be a big play. Opens it up. They hear it. They get into cover just in time. Spamming, trying to find something. JDM's now got to make a move, but he's still smoked off. And now there's fire in the face of Elige. There's one kit on JDM. They're running out of time and running out of HP. The op is so unwieldy in this situation. It's going to come right through the smoke. There's one kill, but Body gets both. Return fire, and Elige's flank does not pan out. It opens up the avenue for G2 to readjust. And that's a 14th for G2. I think that's the dagger as well. Liquid are out of money and out of rounds to play with.
Yeah, I mean, you can almost see the frustration in Liquid at you know, what just happened there. Elige, the positioning was perfect from him. Got them so much information, but unfortunately it was one of those situations where the timing was just off, not in his favor whatsoever. The call comes in that it's going to be B. They'd rotated everyone off of A. I mean, that round, if you think about it, could have been even worse. Right? If Steel wasn't up in the vents, if he wasn't there to get the information, then they wouldn't have had any way of knowing that bomb was heading back towards the A-bomb site.
The tough part now is, I mean, too, if you think about this in the grander scale, obviously Team Liquid's not thinking about any of this at the moment, or you'd hope they aren't. Well, this is Body's POV. Hold that thought during the 1v2. JDM, we're going to see him come right through the smoke, find that kill onto Shocks, and Elige, not sure where to look as he turns the corner, but Liquid, their next game is going to be in their last game of the group stage is going to be against FaZe, which isn't easy. Even if it's, you know, we saw FaZe earlier today kind of come out flat, but don't imagine that team's going to come out like that 2 games in a row. So Liquid, this doesn't get any easier for them. Those 2 overtime wins they had were great last night, but they're not helping anything today.
Now G2 almost looking unfazed by the Liquid CT side. Aggression was going to come in early on here from JDM, but it didn't yield any fruit. Now G2 just holding passive, waiting to see if Liquid do try force their hand out in towards main. You see they've since stuck 3 players here on Highway.
Yeah, they've got to stack something. JDM, Twist, Elige. They've got to find some magic to get into this. The one FAMAS, the one rifle is on Twist. At least at the moment, they're at the right bomb site. Can they do anything? Utility use is great from G2. Here comes the hit. NBK dealing some damage through the smoke, but no one committing from the G2 side of things. They're actually trying to slow play this. They're testing the patience of Team Liquid, and they're just trying to bait out some utility, see if they can find any knowledge of how many players are here. I think Liquid's done an okay job of keeping their nerve. And you imagine any second now G2 is just going to re-execute onto this A bomb site, but there's still 4 players from Liquid here, so they've played this well, all things considered.
Now this push comes in. They're going to be taking it close. These pistols could be devastating. Apex going to double down, but Elige actually answers back with 2 more. Kenny now finds himself in hot water. There's still Elige left in the site, but times of the essence have to move quickly, and that's perfect from Kenny. Steel goes down in mid, and time was running so incredibly low. Kenny brings it back with the frag onto Elige.
Of course Kenny does. That kill is incredible. Even if Body doesn't get that last kill, I mean, the time was running out. If he doesn't find that, then maybe that last kill can just hide and just play the time. But once he finds it, you have to assume he's going to plant it. This second half has been all G2. There's only been 1 round win for Team Liquid. They have not come alive on this CT half at all. It's been brutal. Mid-control again for G2. That's an easy kill for Body. Elige out in the open. There's no one else here fighting. They've invested everything they can. They have to. Turning the corner with the flashbang as well. There's Twist for the response. So it is a 4-on-4, but he's, again, all alone. And he gets another one at the CZ.
There's desperate act over in mid from Twist. Has net 2 frags for the man. They've taken that man advantage. Now G2, I mean, This G2 train has grinded to a halt for the time being. They've stopped in their tracks. Now trying to weigh up these options. Kenny going to be waiting to see if any aggression comes out over here towards the B-bomb site. Plenty of time left for them to work with. They're going to start to clear out these angles. Support from MBK. Unbeknownst to them, though, they're going to be walking in to the most stacked of the two. Liquid about to push into this. The timing couldn't be worse. MBK, they line up for him. Kenny finishes things off at the end, and now Twists left in a 1v2. They need him to step up now more than ever. The bottom plant's going to come in from Kenny and Twists, beginning this rotation in. There's no utility left for G2. That's at least a silver lining. Twist, though, going to go in very silently. They don't know that he's actually made it into the site. Spotted out. Twist does damage. Kenny's there to get the frag, and 16-9 going to be the scoreline to G2 as they win it out here on Cash, and they keep the dream alive.
Yeah, so a couple of heartbreak rounds in there for Team Liquid, but overall, G2 show up to play. They play very, very well. They get their first pistol round, which is always nice in that second half, and that's a dominant terrorist side for the G2 side of things. We're going to head to the GoDaddy post-match recap with the desk.
The GoDaddy post-match breakdown.
All right, then. We now still have an entirely open group. With the win G2 have just picked up on Cash, every single team is still up in the running for top 3 and for a spot in those quarterfinals. And eventually, of course, the Oracle Arena.
True. To be fair, highly unlikely that Liquid can make it and that FaZe will not make. Actually, FaZe is already guaranteed to be one of the top 3 spots. But, you know, for a lot of the other teams, yes, it's still wide open. And what a performance from G2 here. You know, after a close first half, in the second half, it felt like, you know, it was fairly smooth for them.
Right, and that's the question I have to kind of throw towards you, Jordan, is a team just getting locked out in one particular half. I mean, is that where all the credit is directed towards G2, or do we start looking for the holes in Liquid's defense?
Well, you know, coming into this, I thought both teams were going to have pretty landslide T-sides. I think Liquid actually had an opportunity to do that. They went up 3-0. Envy gets that first, or G2 gets that first gun round, and then that next gun round where they took the bomb site and, what was it, the time ran out, right? Kenny gets that op kill from Heaven. If Liquid wins that round, I think G2 is lucky to get 5 that half, and then the whole game's different. So I think G2 simply just did a little bit better job, and then they got their first pistol round of the tournament, right, T-side? And then that carries it into it. So, yeah, I think
that was the force by 4-2. That force by really, you know,
here's the pistol
allowed the G2 to get back into it in the first half. But in the second half, me and Jordan were talking in the green room, and you know, it was like, what do you think, who's going to win? I said, this is probably the most important round for G2, this pistol round, because on a map like Cash, if they get off to a good start on the T side, they can just roll over their opponents. But if Liquid wins and Liquid gets off to another 3-0 start and G2 has to win consecutive gun rounds, I think that's where it might get a bit tricky and we can have a really, really close game.
It's so crazy, isn't it, that G2 are a team that has already beaten Gambit, nearly beaten FaZe, and we're giving them a whole lot of credit. This is the first pistol round they win of the tournament. I mean, they're doing it in hard mode. This is like expert mode, CSGO goes Dark Souls.
Yeah, true, and they had so many close games. You just know that if they win just one of those pistol rounds in one of the previous games, they win the whole thing. But I really want to give props to G2. It was fairly obvious that in this game as well, they were trying to play with more structure on their T side. For example, even the round they flawlessly lost. I think the idea was great, and the beginning of the
checker control.
the checker control was great. But then I think that's where you see that they're still getting used to that sort of a style. That's where they got a little bit lost, and they just got picked off one by one. But the following round, same thing, aggression towards B early on, explosion, and they win that round.
Well, I mean, we're maybe going to get some of the answers to the questions about structure and about how they're developing from Kenny. He's actually standing by with Trace right now, so let's get a little winner's interview underway.
Well, what do you know? Here we are with Kenny S., the guy putting on a performance of performances over there, a show, if you will, a real spectacle. Kenny, talk to me about the team environment right now.
Those last 2 weeks were not what we're expecting to be, but it was decent, I would say. So the environment overall is pretty good. we were not really happy about what happened yesterday, to be honest. We felt like we could have won against FaZe, and we got smashed by Renegades, which was kind of an upset, to be honest. So, yeah, just we're doing our best right now to not have regrets after the first day.
No regrets, right?
Okay, exactly, no regrets.
No regrets. Well, you guys certainly put in some numbers there, and you're still alive in this tournament. But what I really want to ask about is sort of the leadership structure you guys are working under. If you look at your team on paper, technically you have a handful of leaders. Talk to me a little bit about how that works.
Basically, Shox is in-game leading the T sides, NBK is leading the city sides, so they kind of split the leadership. And then there is Apex and I and even Body that can make some calls in mid-run calls and stuff. So yeah, I think we all have the knowledge, and we're all smart enough in the game to have a kind of leadership. But I would say that the biggest leadership would be Shox and BK.
Shox and BK. And again, yes, you have all that on paper in terms of leadership qualities, and it's seeming like it's going to come together. Maybe that's the plan, right, going forward?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Well, congratulations, Kenny. We're going to go ahead and get out here and give it right back.
Thanks very much, Tres. Jordan, what do you make of that one? I mean, that leadership discussion, he just basically listed every member of the team.
Yeah, well, we were talking about that in the green room because I think that's one of their problems. And I guess what's more impressive to me is even when you see that loss versus FaZe on Overpass, G2 lost both pistols and admittedly lost some bad 1vx situations, and still it was 16-14. So it does show, it pays homage to the fact that these guys are such a super team of players in 1vx situation, XVX, but they have a lot of people giving input and a lot of information, and that was the problem we saw with Astralis. You could have argued that Astralis with Kerrigan had the best playbook out of any team. But if you just can't come together and simply kill the enemies, it's not going to happen. So it's interesting to look at how much is happening there and how many different ways it can go.
Also, I think it's actually a good compromise to split it between the T side and CT side. Me and Kassad used to do it. He used to lead T side, I used to lead CT side, and that really allows you to focus on just one side of the map, and also you can give like feedback and go back and forth. So it's really like cool. There are players who are, have a better sense perhaps for what needs to be done on a certain side of the map, and you alleviate a little bit of the pressure from the other guy. He can play his own game a bit more.
It could be awesome. It's about finding that harmony.
I mean, that's a discussion about, is it too many cooks spoil the broth, or is it more of a case of just, specialists in a particular facet of the game?
Something that I want to mention real quick is Gambit. They right at the moment have both Adren and Dosha calling on both sides. That can be a bit problematic at times if they disagree. Most of the time they agree on what they want to call, but what happens if they disagree? Who has the upper hand?
Well, that's the problem. If harmony is broken.
And what happens if it's 14-14 and like it's high pressure, no one is sure what to call? That's where things can get a bit tricky.
Absolutely. I mean, it's up for discussion, and it's very interesting. Of course, there is no one-size-fits-all in leadership, and we know that because you just look at the top right now and see how different every single team is. Well, we've got more Counter-Strike for you, though, on the way. We'll bring up those standings just so you can kind of understand exactly what's going down towards Group B in particular. You can see now that FaZe are locked in. So they join, let me get this right, SK, Cloud9, and another team I'm forgetting.
And the other group, NIP.
NIP, thank you. The Ninjas, who actually finished top of their group, so they'll have a chance to defend their title. And now FaZe join them, so that's 4 out of the 6 that we're looking for.
So Alex, I have a way for Liquid to go through, right?
Hit me.
Renegades loses to Gambit. So Renegades are at 7 points, Gambit is at 8, Gambit and FaZe are through. G2 loses in Optic, loses in overtime to G2. No, I lost it.
It's okay.
No, I didn't.
No, so, they have 8 points.
They have 7, but they lose, so it's a tiebreaker. They can have a tiebreaker in that sense, but only in that case. If Gambit wins and G2 loses on overtime, because if G2 loses straight up, then Optic has a point over Liquid.
Okay, we don't get to do this anymore. We don't get to do this anymore.
I'm telling you, this is it.
We don't get to do this often, but you guys can choose which game we watch on the mainstream. Would you like to have the Renegades game, or would you, Renegades Gambit, or would you rather have FaZe Liquid?
I think FaZe Liquid He wants
Renegade's Gambit.
Oh, wait. Yeah, wait. We got an Australian.
No,
I'm
I think
leaving the
Renegade's
guest.
Gambit because it's highly unlikely for Liquid like to go through, and FaZe is a huge favorite in that game. But
yeah, FaZe are already
Renegades
through.
and Gambit are much more even, and
Do you guys
know,
agree
it's
with
much more
us?
exciting game.
Let us
right.
know on Twitter.
Renegades Gambit, we're going to be jumping into that bad boy after the break. Democracy has prevailed. Chad is as happy bunny, and we'll be back after the break to talk to you about more of your favorite video game.